As we light our chalice, please rise and embody our spirit to say the words of affirmation written on the back of the service program. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need. For these high purposes do we unite in worship. And if you'll remain standing, this is an opportunity to share a greeting of peace with your neighbors, remembering our guidelines for safety and comfort. And those of you online, please feel free to unmute yourself and greet each other.
I still remember this particular class I was in during seminary. Not too well. I remember this one thing that happened in that class. I'm guessing the class was about worship, or maybe it was a class about ritual, or could be about religious education. What I remember was one of my classmates was railing against the perceived injustice of using white candles for worship. She didn't want to use white candles. That person insisted that we use colored candles, since using only white candles perpetuated white dominance and purity. That person had a point. It hadn't even occurred to me before that. At the same time, I was also enrolled in race, gender, and class, and we were reading a complex book. The book's title, Imperial Leather, reflecting the premise linking colonial domination and cleanliness. I remember even in the book looking at the soap advertisements from Victorian times, designed to influence consumerism and culture with blatant racism, linking cleanliness with whiteness. And if you haven't seen any of those kind of advertisements, you just need to Google those words, Victorian ads, cleanliness, and you'll see them. They'll pop up all over your browser. We've been socialized to use the good, bad binaries that apply directly to the season. Light, dark, day, night, even many of the pagan references with the beauty of the dark being cast out by certain Christian language. As a white person, it may be easy for me to ignore or to think that these tropes or language don't matter. And then I see my Black women colleagues writing about how it does indeed matter. The late Hope Johnson, beloved in our movement, a cis Black woman minister, told us, she said, "As I reflect on the negative definitions of darkness, I am struck by how easy it is to internalize them in many different ways." And UU educator Jackie James, who jogs our memory for many of the concepts we use on a daily basis without even thinking. Blackmail, blacklist, black mark, Black Monday, Black mood, Black hearted, Black plague, Black mass, Black market. Good guys wear white, Black guys wear black. We fear black cats and the dark continent. But it's okay to tell a white lie. Lily white hands are coveted. It is great to be as pure as the driven snow. Angels and brides wear white. Devil's food cake is chocolate. Angel's food cake is white. Jackie James reminds us, she says, we shape language and we are shaped by it. In our culture, white is esteemed. It is heavenly, sunlight, clean, pure, immaculate, innocent, and beautiful. At the same time, Black is evil, wicked, gloomy, depressing, angry, sullen. She says, ascribing negative and positive values to Black and white enhances the institutionalization of this culture's racism. Jackie James encourages, she says, let us acknowledge the negative connotations of whiteness. White things can be soft, vulnerable, pallid, and ashen. Light can be blinding, bleaching, and nerving. Conversely, we must acknowledge that darkness has a redemptive character, that in darkness there is power and beauty. The dark nurtured and protected us before our birth. She urges us to welcome darkness. Don't be afraid of it or deny it. Darkness brings relief from the blinding sun, from scorching heat, from exhausting labor. Night signals permission to rest, to be with our loved ones, to conceive new life, to search our hearts, to remember our dreams. The dark of winter is a time of hibernation. Seeds grow in the dark, in the fertile earth. Finally, Jackie James calms us. The words black and dark don't need to be destroyed or ignored, only balanced and reclaimed in their wholeness. The words white and light don't need to be destroyed or ignored, only balanced and reclaimed in their wholeness. Imagine a world that had only light. We already just saw what that was like in our story. Or dark. We need both, dark and light, light and dark. I just opened up my most recent issue of UU World magazine. If you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it rather, you might have noticed that UU minister Kristen Harper's Theology of Darkness from her wonderful new book, The Darkness Divine. The bolded quote at the middle of the page in the magazine takes us to the heart of her challenge to us. Reverend Harper says, I have been concerned about the consistent equating of darkness and blackness with negative qualities, such as sin and despair. For me, all of this consideration of language, religious and cultural, or both together, is more than just an intellectual or moral exercise. For me, also, my favorite season is winter. I love the comfort and the beauty of the dark, the metaphor and the reminder of the warm and dark womb that grew us into the world, the mystery and the magic of long nights, the dark sky that reveals to me the brilliance of stars. When I first moved my family from Denver, we lived in Denver, and I moved them all to the San Francisco Bay Area so that I could serve a church there. And that first night, I was shocked in my first night in my new home that the sky didn't go all the way dark. The light pollution and the proximity of the bay and the sea kept the nights from accessing the full darkness. If you wanted to see stars, you'd have to go to particular places in the city, just in these little areas that are pointed out. And then you have to get lucky. Maybe you'll see some stars on a good night. Then in 2014, I came to serve this congregation and relocated myself to Durango, while Ron's work kept him in San Francisco for more than 2 years. I had to adjust to not only living alone and away from my spouse and my kids who had moved out but were right nearby, but to the powerful darkness on my street. There were no houses, there were no streetlights, but oh my, could I see the stars. It was incredible. And I came to appreciate it more and more. Now, today is December 19th. These next nights are the longest of the year. Tonight, the sun will set at 4:57. And tomorrow the sun will rise finally at 7:21 in the morning. Monday night, the sun will set again at 4:57, but will give us an extra minute of darkness on the morning of the 21st. The sun won't rise until 7:22 in the morning. We will be spending, and we are right now, the majority of our time in darkness, not just while we're sleeping. Could it be possible that the dark might help heal us? Kristen Harper suggests, she says, God resides in the depths of darkness as in the lights of sunbeams. She says the task for us today is to recognize God in both. Last week, midweek, we sat right here the week before, right here in the darkness for an evening service. Marilyn played beautiful music. We heard words, and there was nothing demanded of us that night other than just being still. If you missed that service, you may want to try spending an evening like that at home with your TV turned off and your devices set aside. Maybe just some piano music playing while you practice sitting and acknowledging your worth just as you are. I've seen recent advertisements from Google. They've been focusing on this technical work of pixels. Have you heard about this? Paying attention to pixels. And why? To more accurately capture skin tones of Black and brown folks. Lots of photo taking, image equity. Google is trying to make their place in the phone biz, so they're promoting this particular angle, but it's a positive campaign about representation, documenting, inclusion, landscape, yes, but people as landscape too. I love the darkness. I love this time of year. Long nights in the middle of the mystery. And this is my last Sunday with you. Maybe it's good we should get comfortable with not being able to see everything. It's still dark. What might we have learned together in the darkness? Maybe that we might learn to be okay in the mystery, not knowing exactly what's next. How much beauty can we find? We are all entering into a new time of the unknown. Besides this congregation, we've got this new Omicron that's once again ratcheting up some anxiety. Let's let this darkness serve as an antidote. I want to find more appreciation and comfort in images and feelings of darkness. Singing, laughing, crying, moving. Almost 70 years ago, civil rights leader Howard Thurman described his own nocturnal encounters and the ground of hope in the struggle against segregation. He described it as the luminous darkness. Could it be that luminous darkness is the authenticating experience that affirms the cosmos of the dark night and in each of us, especially people of color, yet for each of us, our own self-worth? I'm okay in the dark, mostly. I'm okay about leaving, mostly. And I'm so glad that we were able to celebrate together last week. It was a joy to be able to laugh together, appreciate, remember, to feel gratitude. This I know. I trust you. Trust that you will be well, that you will navigate this time even when you can't see all that surrounds you, when you'll have to feel your way through. A slim publication that's been on my shelf all of these many years is called Running Through the Thistles. It recommends to pastors and ministers, it's not just for Unitarian Universalists, but for all pastors and ministers. It recommends to us to do a more thoughtful leave taking rather than a full speed ahead approach. The author likens a healthy leaving to the grief process of dying. I think together we've done a pretty good job of this process overall, but here today I can feel myself not wanting to acknowledge my own pain, my own part in my pain about going. I can feel the thistles under my bare feet. In preparation for today, I listened to the hymn that we'll be closing with today, and I began to cry. It's a lullaby to winter. I'm thinking that maybe it's a lullaby to winter, but also to you and to me. May we feel that still small voice of love eternal, even after this day is complete. Blessings to you. We've each got long nights ahead of us. The morning following the solstice, December 22nd, is still dark, majority dark. And December 23rd doesn't magically turn into July. There are many more long, cold nights. There is so much good in the days to come in these long nights, short days. You will feel your way through it, and so will I. Trust the darkness divine, the luminous darkness, the beloved darkness. I love you. Amen. Blessed be. Amen. Ashe.